Right now, we're having microphone issues. So I honestly don't know what the right set. So we're gonna figure this out. I'm not getting any data. Alright, so I believe now you can hear me. So we're going to get started with today's topics. Here I just forgot to add in some clips that I need. So let me just work on this real quick while I show you the logo. And I'll also tell you about today's topics. Alright, so we are going to be showing you a video. It's about 10 minutes, so that's actually going to be our first thing. And it's from Google. It is about Google. They're developing new headquarters space at their existing Mountain View campus. So that is kind of interesting, their design that you'll see in the video. And they brought two architects that looks like it took them a long time to find. So that should be interesting. And we'll also be talking about an Uber data breach. And I'm sorry that you see our other logo that we didn't really want to show you right now. But as you can see, one of our... Oh, and I'm trying there. I'm still trying to figure out this. So this will be kind of interesting. We'll be going through it together. And I'm sorry if you're having bad stream quality. It's probably just me adding in the stuff that I have to add in. And I forgot to add in. So please don't. Since we are pretty sure that's about the Apple Watch, we're going to also have an Apple Watch versus Pebble Time comparison. And to close off the show, we will have 5 things you need to know about the FCC's net neutrality rules. So we're going to get started here. And let's get right into it. Here's the intro. Let it just load. Our intro, I kind of just made that recently, and I'm trying something, so I wanted to change it to prop it up a little bit. So just before I buy, because I was watching this video where it said it actually helped and they had out, so I'm just having some stick. Yeah, I'm also monitoring the live chat on my other monitor and on my tablet. It says one person is watching. I don't know if that's me. Yeah. I'm gonna, if you're watching this, let me know in the live chat. I'm viewing it on my tablet and on here. I'll be talking as Tyler Vandenberg, not Tyler Tech though. Although I guess I could switch it. Yeah, I'll be talking as Tyler Tech, and I'll be replying over on my tablet. So if you guys want to chat, just leave a comment down below if you're watching live, and I will try and get back to comments of anyone who comments after this is done. Alright, so let's get on to the video. Oh, I'm showing myself an advertisement too. I'm just going to type in the comments, let you. So I don't think I've actually ever had any people watch live. So I'm not going to actually watch it on this one, though, because that'll make the stream bad for you guys. Yes, it already is. So I've actually don't think I've had any live views on here. Yes, but let me know if you're watching. I have comments showing up on both sides of me right here, and right here I can see it. So alright, we're going to get on to the first video. I have to pull that up where you see the logo. But we're going to be showing you a video about Google right after a word from our sponsors, which are XSplit. Here, let me pull it up. I had something that I wanted to say about it. Alright, so XSplit creates streaming software. The XSplit broadcasters for live streams and recordings, which is what's actually powering Tyler Tech right now. So it powers this broadcast, and Gamecaster is made specific freedom of what you make on YouTube, and that can go up based on how large your channel gets. They also offer music for your videos and sponsorships. I got XSplit for free through them, and you can sign up at freedom.tm/via/TylerTech01. Again, the link should be in the description. If not, I will add this after the live stream ends, as long as I remember to, so someone try and remind me in the comments if I don't. But we're going to get on to our first. So I will leave on my microphone so I can talk if I need to. Oops, clicked on something wrong. Alright, here it goes.
Silicon Valley has been the cradle of this sort of series of innovations that over the last decades have propelled technology and world economy. But all of the resources, all of the intelligence has been invested into the immaterial, the digital realm, the internet.
It was just fascinating to be seeing the physical reality of a valley that has changed the world, and that valley actually itself hasn't changed.
Tech really hasn't adopted a particular language for buildings. I mean,
I
we've
also
just
like to
found
that I've
old
added
buildings,
this is
we
from
moved into
Google.
them, and made do best we could. We have an opportunity to not what is transit today. We're really making sure that we make spaces very open and accessible, so it's just not for Googlers, but it's for anyone who lives in the area to come by. And then the last piece, which is really Google at its heart, in anything we do, trying to leave the project, giving something back to the world that they didn't have before we started. We really listened, and that was pretty compelling. Function and form, have this team that...
Mountain View, we thought that it would be interesting to work with each other and Google to maybe come up with something that would be much more creative than anything we could have come up with ourselves.
Make, to invent, engineer, and most importantly, make ideas happen and go out into the world. It's cool. When you visit the Google campus, there's lots of trees, but there's this constant major undermining of that by the road system and the infrastructure required for all of those cars. And it just feels like trees are like street furniture.
And everything has turned into parking lots. We're trying to sort of reverse this process and really sort of recreate some of the natural qualities that have been there in the first place. Really transform the sea of parking that you find today into sort of a natural landscape where you'll find an abundance of green both outside but also inside.
These are greenhouses that enclose and protect pieces of nature.
Next to ecologically sensitive areas, We're able to pull back buildings and create wildlife habitat. We're able to create areas where we're restoring waterways that bring water out to the bay.
It's interesting to try and look at how you can really augment or turn the dial up more on that nature, at the same time as looking to really protect the land use.
Google's presence in Mountain View is simply so strong that it can't be a fortress that shuts away nature, that shuts away the neighbors. It really needs to become a neighborhood in Mountain View.
A motivator for the work we're doing now is that can be shared with people who don't work for an organisation and keep an organisation's feet on the ground.
The buildings themselves allow both the public as well as employees to move through them. We wanted to make sure that we create a community where bikes miles an hour.
Part of our work is to try to find ways to make places that you would go and have a conversation and go for a walk with great pleasure.
So in that sense, our idea for the Google campus is really to give it the diversity, the liveliness that you find in an urban neighborhood, so that a lot of the traditional distinctions in an urban setting or in an office environment will have evaporated or at least been blurred significantly.
How will we work 5 years from now? How will we work 15 or 20 years from now? We don't know what it's going to be, but we know that it just needs to be this incredibly flexible space for it to work.
In nature, things aren't over-programmed or over-prescribed. Openness for interpretation.
In a traditional building, reconfiguring from years, and you would knock those buildings.
Pieces of environment you can work in multiple ways.
It becomes almost like giant pieces of furniture that can be connected in different ways.
It's almost like the Lincoln Logs when we were kids. You can just pile the
Historic city model of making streets. And then this is not the historic model of making
Buildings as these into
a piece of glass fabric and draping it across some tent poles. And we're blurring the outside world and the inside world.
We're really thinking about how do we create buildings that draw less energy? How do we create buildings that use less water than a traditional building? And all of this
Is that we can try and 5 or 10 years.
between like these three different minds, something that I'm dead certain we wouldn't have arrived at if any one of us were like working in isolation.
We have a duty to reflect the humanistic spirit is something that it feels really important to embody in what we build. And so that's shared between all of us and is
Alright, so that was Google's new glare on my eyes. Then I have my tablet over here if you just didn't know how I have my setup. Headphones so I can listen to the music. I don't need those always in though, so I might just set them down sometimes. Then I got my microphone that I use for my videos plugged into my computer. Here. Yeah, it's that microphone. Also, you may notice my green screen. I haven't said anything specifically about it, but you may have noticed the last like 5 or 10 videos probably. I'm not exactly sure I know them. And then there was one, which I believe was the Teotronics TT-GL20 LED grow light review, which I posted 2 months ago. I did a green screen with out at the end of the wall, that white wall there. I used that as a green screen. It's also told me I just switched over to a good streaming quality. So I'm sorry if I have bad streaming. So I'm gonna also try and insert an ad real quick. I just don't know how to do it.
The buildings themselves allow both the public as well as employees to make sure that create where bikes and pedestrians don't.
My green screen. I haven't said anything specifically about 5 or 10 videos probably. I'm not. Alright, so sorry for that. I was just checking some settings. And if you saw an ad, I kind of wanted to try that button, but I didn't mean to make you watch an ad, so I'm sorry about that. But anyway, let me get over here to my screen. Let me just get it, because I have it set to do the logo on this scene, they call it. Well, my computer's being slow too, so that's kind of making it a rough day for the stream. Let me take off the logo there. Alright, so this is my desktop that you see right down and over to that side. Yeah, this was the website that I got that Google video off of. But our next that may have exposed info on 50,000 drivers. Sorry, let me zoom in a little bit. There. So Uber announced Friday that it suffered a breach to an internal database in 2014 that exposed data on about 50,000 drivers. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my microphone and read. 50,000 drivers got their data exposed. Subsequent investigation showed the breach exposed the names and driver's license numbers of some 50,000 drivers, which Uber described as a small percentage of current and former Uber driver partners. No customer data, usernames, or passwords were accessed. When contacted by NBC News, Uber declined to comment on why the breach was disclosed Friday or whether drivers were notified earlier. So yeah, Uber had a data breach. No customer information, I guess, was stolen. And that's pretty much that article. Now we're going to go on to what to expect during Apple's March 9th event. Sorry, a lot of their events are in September. Had a little mind lapse there. Let me zoom this one in a lot more. Let me make it so that I don't fill up as much of the screen. Version of the software. Really sorry to those of you with 4K. But anyway, what to expect during Apple's March 9th media event. Two of the best minds that follow Apple got together and worked out what we can expect to see during Apple's March 9th media event. Jeff Garment and Kelly Guillemot. Sorry, let me know if I'm not pronouncing any of these correctly in the comments also. So those two, with some inspiration from Chris Breen, and who take their best shot at predicting what else we might see besides a major of this proceeding. Still quite a long time before the Apple Watch let me know. One might suspect that it's time for the next generation Apple TV. This is the thinking of Kelly Guillemot, inspired by a podcast with Chris Breen, at Body of Breen. The idea is that you can control the new Apple TV with the Apple Watch. Then they are a match made in heaven and should be introduced together. Yes, people also want to have 4K. Here, less likely is the iPad Pro. There have been rumors for quite some time now that Apple would seek to boost iPad sales by coming out with a 12.9-inch iPad Pro. Oops, sorry. I just got an email. Sorry about that. So the predictions that they saw last year for early 2015, and here we are. I really wanted a larger iPad, according to whoever wrote this article, and the probably exploit the larger screen in order to make the person more productive. Otherwise, we all have a giant iPhone. I mean, otherwise all we have is a giant iPhone, and that may require iOS 9, something we're likely to see at WWDC in June. So I'm eternally hopeful. I'm not counting on this larger iPad on March 9th. I'll be, of course, corrected by Garment. With the TMO Observer 7th, the initial thinking was this. Apple is seeking a lot of companies copying the design of the MacBook Air. Changed since inception is in January 2008. Apple would like to step it up. There's supposed to be a MacBook Air with Retina display. The reason it hasn't happened so far is because that would raise the price of Apple's incredibly popular entry-level notebook and take the low price wind out of the product's sales. However, there comes a time eventually where the efficiencies of scale allow Apple to move forward at an acceptable price point. Another thing would be Touch ID to the Macs. And finally, a rumor that was on 9 to 5 Mac suggests Apple will differentiate the new MacBook Air with or without a Retina display by making it available in space gray or gold. The gold model would likely be gold anodized and not add much cost at all. There's a $20 premium for the Brigid Air keyboard in gold. However, while something like that is probably not coming, it's not likely to be allowed to distract from the Apple Watch focus of May 9th. In the past, MacBook updates have been announced at WWDC, so that's what they're thinking. And also, next we have our Apple Watch versus Pebble Time. Android Wear is still also broke a record. Yeah, here. Pebble Time tops Pebble's original record-breaking Kickstarter campaign in just 2 days. So they even broke a record. The designer, who's Martin Hedgeck, who's constantly coming up with all sorts of amazing renders based on existing and future gadgets, mock-ups of mock-up images of the Apple Watch next to the Pebble Time. Customers are looking for a smartwatch that will surely want to be able to compare these designs, as they're both likely to be very popular choices in the near future. Some of the renders products show them from a variety of angles. Here, the underside, you can see that Pebble went on the Pebble since it's. Let me see something. Alright, I have something that says whiteboard overlay, and I'm hoping you can't see that. Let me get rid of that menu. And yeah, you have your navigation buttons on Pebble since it's not a touch screen, but it is a color display. And the Apple, it's a touch screen, and you also have the crown and the power button. Here's the power button on the Pebble, and there's really nothing, it looks like, on that side of the Apple Watch. Here you have it from that angle again where you see the crown. So that is it. And now on to our last thing, the FCC's net neutrality. And these are 5 things you should know about the net neutrality rules. What does broadband is now a public utility mean? On Thursday, the FCC voted 3-2 down party lines to reclassify fixed broadband lines under Title II Telecommunications Act. This turns ISPs and mobile broadband providers into public utilities. As a result, the companies will be more highly regulated than they were in the past. In terms of net neutrality, internet service providers will be preventing from offering paid prioritization or fast and slow lanes, where customers and/or web services must pay the ISPs for better speeds for certain content. It also prevents ISPs from actively blocking sites to access content from provenently throttling, which means slowing down certain kinds of traffic. In my chair, it's actually broken because it just went down a few inches without messing with anything. Let me fix that. Were these regulations even necessary? Are ISPs doing this kind of thing? There has been concern for some time that ISPs would experiment with slow and fast lanes, but the companies never actually tried it out. The ISPs and mobile broadband providers, however, have, however, deliberately throttled traffic. Comcast began throttling users who were caught causing large amounts of traffic. And back in 2009, the throttling efforts were targeted against so-called bandwidth hogs, such as people downloading large amounts of torrents. Comment was also hit with a class action lawsuit settled in 2010 over previous throttling efforts that began in 2007. Comcast was required to pay up to $16 million as part of the settlement. Will ISP innovation die under Title II? What some ISPs and other opponents of the FCC ruling are saying, they argue that more regulation will mean less investment and innovation in broadband. From a consumer's point of view, however, it's hard to argue that American ISPs were innovating on internet delivery and working hard to improve service under the previous light touch approach. For starters, a lot of major ISPs are despised by their customers due to poor customer relations. You can also find instances where major broadband providers refuse to increase broadband speeds or expand capacity. America has some of the slowest, yet priciest broadband in the world, according to an October report by Open Technology Institute. Last May, Tier 1 global network provider Level 3 said 5 major U.S. ISPs were deliberately failing to increase their interconnect capacity with Level 3, resulting in near-constant web traffic congestion. Level 3 did not name the companies, but did say that all 5 had dominant or exclusive market share where the congestion was. Arguably, the most internet that is basically fiber has had the effect of this up real quick. That is XSplit. I'll have live stream Tyler Tech at YouTube. I hope you enjoyed it and all that stuff. I don't think we actually had any viewers. 6 playbacks actually, which was pretty good, although a lot of those are probably me. Watching right now. We've had 6 playbacks, which I don't know exactly what that means. Let me check real quick. That is the total number, or if those are all me. I should have probably done that. Give me better lighting on my face. Sorry, I was just messing with light.